All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from whatever time zone you're joining today's video from. All right, this is another market session with us here at EasyFX Academy, and as usual, we'll just go straight into the charts and just sort of give ourselves an overview of what we should be expecting or what we can be expecting during the course of this week on in the market rather. Right, so let's start from gold. I don't think we've talked about gold in a bit, so I'm just going to explain my bias and what I believe can happen, and what you can just do, you know, at least for yourself, taking your entries and all. All right, so let's start from daily time frame gold. Right, daily time frame gold is looking like we're having some strength towards the upside. So we've seen crazy, strong bearish movement, but right now it does seem like we have a little bit of momentum for the buyers in the market right now. All right, we've seen price, at least though we've seen this reaction from here, though we've seen this resistance here. All right, I already marked it out. We've seen that resistance around there. All right, but there's every possibility for price to still break out of that region. Now for the type of trades excuse me, that you might be able to take off or take from here, or I'll advise just a couple of things. Number one, if you're going to be looking for the sales, I think a very good place to look out for sales, so far off is a bit, it's around somewhere like here. I think I'll prefer somewhere around there for possible sales, right? So I'll probably just want to watch out for possible sales from somewhere around there. That's still quite far, but it's between 5284.91 and 54 54. Sorry, let me get the coordinates properly. 5425.89 and 5284.91. So it's quite large around that range. Again, you can this on 4 hour time frame, so you can drop to the lower time frames, all right, for you to take up your entries, maybe 15 minutes or 5 minutes or even a 1 hour time frame, depending, right? But that is somewhere I would want to watch out for possible sales from. And then for the possibility of entering for buys, all right, you can easily watch out for a break and retest of this, all right, pivot around here. All right, so maybe let's drop to the 1 hour time frame. Let's see if we can actually hold a zone there. Not something that I'll be too keen on, and that'll be more or less as a scalp trade, right? If you get a good break and retest of that resistance, initial resistance here, all right, sorry, try that, right? Initial resistance here, price broke it, then came back to another form of resistance. If at all price breaks it and we get a retest, right? Then definitely I think you can go to lower time frames, maybe 3 minutes time frame, in fact, for you to get your possible short buys, all right, towards that point at the very least, right? Because I just want to see that type of movement happen. I think we can see that type of movement happen on gold during the course of this week, and I will be watching out for that. But I hope that is clear. I'm not going to be taking too much time on that. Yeah, that's it for gold right now. So let's go to AED card next. And something similar, sorry, give me a minute. Something similar what we can see on AED card. Now remember last week or so we were expecting buys on AED card. So I was expecting a sort of break and retest around here, but we could see that that zone was a bit, it was tampered with, or at least was invalidated. Price still dropped a little bit lower. We had at least a week taking us out, and then we got the push towards the upside. So if we're looking out for moves that can happen possibly on AED card this week, I think we'll just have to mark out regions that we feel we might be interested in. And this for me is one. I'll drop to the lower time frame. I think I have a lot of lines right now, so let me delete the ones I believe are not necessary currently, so that I won't confuse any of you that, any of us rather. I think this is actually fairly important, but let me remove it for the meantime. Right, so let's watch out for this. So this is at least a previous point of resistance I am kind of keen on right now. I'm still seeing a lot of reactions around. So let's see. Let me drop to the 1 hour time frame first to be sure. All right, so you can go back. Go back. Yeah. So if I thought we're going to have possible sells, all right, and I'll explain my bias right now. Now, generally, I would expect, or would expect, I'm going to be marking out the weeks. This is what this is looking like right now. It's looking like we might have the possibility of price at least still taking out this high, all right, around here. All right, and then giving us a drop. I'm going to sort of work with that, all right, but I'm expecting sales very soon to happen, but we do not have any confirmations for the sales, right? So even though I'm expecting the sales to happen, we don't have any confirmation, so I won't necessarily be going in for the sales. I'll prefer to watch out for, I want to see the reactions that can give birth to the sales, all right? So maybe when price gets towards this point again, then I'll be watching out for it, because currently we're having another pivot situation around here, that's around 0.95873, and it looks like that should give us, that should give that momentum, right, to push price towards the upside. So once we see price taking out this high, then I would be more confident in watching out for a sell. So if around the time that happens, we get to see maybe a chino character on the lower time frames, or we just get to see whatever it is basically on the lower time frame that gets to tell us that, oh, we're preparing for a sell, or you can quickly take in your your sells at least for the scalp perspective, or scalp trade rather, and taking yourself from there. And I think that should be fine. So it'll be more or less a sweep of this eye, and then you watch out for yourself from there. All right, all that is clear. Next up, I will do AN, ADNZD, and I think something similar to what I just explained on AD AD card, right? So we've seen again break above this eye right now. All right, so definitely I will be biased to watch out for the buys to continue, but before then, or we might still get to see a bit of a drawdown, or drop down rather, towards the downside. So I might just watch out for this scenario. This is a lot, it's a lot trickier for me though, because okay, let's see it on the daily time frame. Right, so should I check the weekly? I don't think we need. Yeah, there really is no need. It's still telling us something similar. Right, still telling us something similar. So for the meantime, let's just watch out for the possibility of having that. So again, once I get to see maybe a structure being broken, or if I can get to see that'll be the lower time, or if we can get to see price breaking below this low again. So if we get to something towards this end, right, and then like this will be like the sort of schematic I'm expecting to happen, AD and ZD. And basically in this scenario, we're watching out for a break and retest of this region. So we want to see first market, maybe price rather take out, maybe this high, still push up a little bit. Then we want to see a drop below this point. And I want to see a drop below that point. You can just watch out for any supply region around there, around that neck, around this neck, right? This neck, and then you can just watch out for trades from there for the sales at all if you are looking out for such movement. All right, that's it for AUD and ZD. Let's do AU next. Let's do AU next. Right, I think again we're still having something similar to that again here. So let me mark out this high. There's every possibility again for us to still see that point being taken out, maybe something towards this end, and then might get another drop towards the downside, something like this basically, so that basically is what I will be looking out for on AD USD also. So yeah, because we can get to some level of correlation between AD card, ADCHF, was it ADCHF or ADNZD, and then ADUSD also. So let's watch out for how all of those play out during the course of the week. But remember, all of these ones that we've just analyzed, we're still going to be watching out for possible, we just want to see confirmations basically before we enter in for the sales. All right, so that's that about that. I'll jump a lot and I'll just go to EU. I think we'll do EU then. Possibly we'll do EU and G. So you remember last week, or our last market review rather, we're talking about, or we're looking out for possible buys. One of them started, this was on Thursday-ish, Friday. They got to see that this zone was again wicked out, or at the very least, I want to assume that your risk management might have helped you with that if you're able to take that trade, right, for the buys. So we got to see whether again, this was a 45 minutes. Remember, this was a 45 minutes demand zone that we just got to see, from a lower time frame perspective, and we've seen that zone is still holding. So right now, if I'm watching out for sales at all, this is a point I've already marked out prior to now. If you're watching out for sales at all, this would be where I'm watching out for the sales from, if at all we might see the sales. Right, 1.19826 and 1.19414 between that region, or between those points rather, is the coordinate rather for the possible sales that I'm watching out for right now on EU. Though the way I'm looking at the current movement of the market, is very likely that we get to see some level of strength still being portrayed by, sorry, forgive me, some level of strength still being portrayed by the dollar. So we might actually get to see that drop. And again, if you I'm coming, sorry, I think I saw something now. I don't know where I saw it. I feel like I saw something important right now. Okay, I feel like I saw something important. I don't mind. All right, but basically, this is just, we're expecting possible sales from here. All right, if at all we get to see a break above that region, then definitely my bias will change. But as usual, I'll tell you not to enter. Don't just enter. Expect price to do this from here. All right, you can easily just watch out for more confirmations of one price getting into that region. All right, so you don't necessarily need to set a pending order. You can just watch out for, maybe you want to see rejection count, whatever. Depending on how you trade, you can just watch out for reactions inside that region, and then take in for yourselves. If at all you don't see those reactions, by all means, please do not take don't get in for the sales. If at all you don't see those reactions, don't get in for the sales. But at the very least, I just want to have a bias that we might be able to work with. That's it for EU. I'm not going to take too much time on that, also. I think I've taken it enough time on that, don't mind me. All right, but let's see G card. I think I saw something earlier on the G card with GN. He's one of you guys. Okay. Okay. Do we have one? I feel like I can see one at the back of my. I feel like I can see one at the back of my mind, but I want to make sure that we actually do have one. So I use line chart sometimes because it's sort of gives a sort of gives a quote unquote a clearer view to some extent, right? That we can work with. All right. So if this is what we're seeing right now, 4 hour time frame, I feel like I'm seeing a supply. So it has been used already, but I want to see the possibility of us having, yeah, it has been used already, but I want to see the possibility of us having price coming back there and, having what it takes to break above that point. All right, but with the current movements I'm seeing on GCAD right now, I think we might watch out for possible buys. All right, and yeah, so let's use this as our low to the high. So basically, we just need to find out that region. Now, I would have preferred to use maybe this instead, though, right? Because I'll be able to correlate that with somewhere close around here, which is just, let's see how that looks like. Sorry, right? So yeah, it's just somewhere something similar. So I can delete this right now. So this seems possible, all right? But already, if you look at it with me right now, we've seen one touch already inside that region, all right? And definitely, that gets to tell us a story of that the possibility of that region being weak. Right, so this is what I'm just going to advise us to do. Let me see it on the weekly time frame. Are we do we have the possibility of this guy still continuing bearish? Maybe we want to have a long, bearish movement. All right, so that means right now I'm not going to watch out for the buy. So previously I was going to actually pick up for the buys, but I am not so sure right now. I really am not sure this nah. Yeah. I'm not so keen on the buys right now. I'm not so keen on the buys right now. Maybe I'll just drop to the 45. Let me drop to between 45 and 1 minute and see the possibility of us having that. It's there, I mean, but it's not something I'm going to be so keen on or damn so keen on at the moment, right? There's a possibility for us to have strong enough rejections from me and then price would actually, give us a continuation for the bullish move, something like this. Right, there's a possibility for us having that. But looking at it from a larger time frame perspective, I feel like we might get to see a break below this region first. All right, but so this is what I'll just give so that I won't take too much of your time right now. So this is what I'll just tell you to do. Number one, if you're watching out for the break and retest, all right, region for that will be between 1.8493 and 84893 and 1.84401. Somewhere around where we are right now already in the market, or where price right now is already. That will be for the possible break and retest for the sales. All right, if at all we're going to have sales, and again we have trend line support that then should become trend line resistance for us to get to see price push towards the downside on that. But that's that about that, right? Alternatively, for the buys, all right. Alternatively, for the buys, now remember all of these things I'm giving you are things that you need to still correlate with your own entry confirmations or entry criteria rather, before taking. So for the buys on GBP card, I would want to see, and this would be if you're a scalper, I would want to see a strong rejection or a strong reaction, telling me that price is possibly going to come and maybe take out these eyes that have been pretty equal eye here. Right, so let's just let me show you on the. I think you'll consider on 1 hour time frame. So if I get to see strong enough reaction to take out those highs there, then I might watch out for another break and retest maybe somewhere around here. Because this seems to be, that seems to be the region where we've had the reactions stem from. Right, this the rejections rather stem from. So I might want to see and delete this. So for the safer bets, for me, I would want to see maybe something like this happen. Yeah, so I would watch out for the buys, for a break and retest between 1.86278 and 1.85909. I hope that is clear for G card. I'll do GN and GU next. G and GU. I feel like I have one NZE pair. Check. All right. So GN. Okay, I already mark this out again. So again, we just see so basically I'm just watching out for a pullback. So we've seen one, two, three, lows already that, we saw a sort of progressive movement towards the upside, a bullish movement towards the upside. Now, I'm going to say that those lows that were created by that bullish movement already, the low, higher low again, right? All of them have been taken out. So I'm expecting this to be where we're going to see that sort of use of that momentum or that, liquidity that has been swept from those lows. And we might get to see a long buy happening on GNR, but this is all still speculative. I would want to see what price does when we get to that region. And again, this is actually quite large. It's between 2.25, 234 and 2.2326. Although GNZD is not necessarily, the heaviest pair out there. But all the same, I just want to see the possibility of us having that buy happening from there. All right, so I'm not going to talk too much about that, but basically that's what I'm expecting to happen. So again, you've seen liquidity swept here, liquidity swept here, liquidity swept here. Price basically has taken all of that out and then has given us sufficient drops towards the downside. So we might get to see, that continuation for the buy very soon from there. It might not be as long as this, but at the very least, I want to see possible buys, from that region. I hope that is clear for GBP and ZD. Let's do GU next. So after GU, I'll do NZD card and we'll call it a session. All right. So GBP USD basically the same as Euro USD. Remember we talked about this region and we saw again just very very small ripple. We saw that buy happening, happen from there. So right now for GU daily time frame, let's see what daily time frame is telling us. If I thought we're going to have that break again, if I thought we're going to have that push towards the upside, let's see for the possible sells on this guy here. Almost is a very very interesting word right now. Don't worry. So let's just assume that this is our current swing movement. So somewhere around here, which is actually still far out, but let's see the possibility. It's actually far. Not something I'm even too keen on from what I can see at the moment. Selling on something I'm too keen on. All right, but possible sales will be around here on GU, that between coordinates between 1.38299 and 1.37835 for the possible sales on GU right now. I think I'll just leave it at that. I am still going to want to prefer, or rather I'll prefer to watch out for possible moves that might still come up on GU during the course of the week. Give me a minute. Yeah, let's see how that plays out. Let's see how that plays out. All right. Again, I will always tell you to practice proper risk management. All right. So watch out for your own entry confirmations or the lower time frames or whatever time frame you prefer before taking any of those trades. All right. So last but not least for today's session would be NZD card. I think I just saw this earlier, and I would love to share this with us at the moment. Right, so daily time. I don't think it was daily on the daily time frame rather. Right, so basically this is already an SBR pattern that I think we've seen being formed here. So this is the sweep. All right, the break here, the price coming back around there. So we've seen that sort of retest around here. All right, so basically it looks like we might get to see some sales, like maybe something towards this point. All right, but I want to see it on the 2-hour time frame because I'm looking out for the a good enough region for us to taking our entry from somewhere around this shoulder here. Price already is inside. That's around 0.82246 and 0.82120. Price already is inside there. There's every possibility for that zone to be taken out or to be invalidated. Right, but I want to see what happens right now. I want to see if this zone gets to close bearish or get to a candle closing bearish there. And towards that end, let me see on the 4-hour time frame. Would we use a 4-hour candle? Most likely, I might prefer to just work with the 4-hour candle. So what I want to see right now is the close of the 4-hour candle. I would have preferred the daily candle actually, to see the daily candle close bearish. So any one of the two you can use. So if you can wait to see the daily candle close bearish, I think that's fine. If not, if you're on 4-hour time frame, you can wait to see the a bearish candle closing inside or below rather this region on the 4-hour time frame. I think that would be very very good for you to work with for the possible sell. So I want to see that bearish confirmation from the candle, then I can watch out maybe on the 1-hour time frame or the 30 minutes time frame or even lower for my own entry. So first things first, we want to see the candle telling us that this guy wants to drop from that region. All right, so without the 4-hour time frame or the daily time frame, once we see that confirmation, then definitely we will be more confident, to take our sell trades. But I think for the meantime, around that region, I already gave the coordinates for just watch out for sell entries from there. And I'm very sure we are going to have a profitable week. All right, thank you so much for joining us for today's stream. By all means, do make sure to practice proper risk management. Trading is and should be taken as a business, and you can lose your money. but I do not want you to lose your money. All right. So thank you very much once again. Practice for price management, and I will see you in our next stream. Bye bye, guys. God bless.